The quantum sensors at Europa Station picked up the signal first. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the readings in disbelief, her hands trembling as she recalibrated the equipment for the third time. The signal pattern was unmistakable, artificial in origin, and definitely not from Earth or any of its colonies. "Director Matthews, you need to see this," she called out, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. The station's director, a veteran of the lunar wars, crossed the monitoring room in quick strides. His expression hardened as he studied the data streaming across the holographic display. The signal originated from beyond Neptune's orbit, moving toward the inner solar system at speeds that defied current human capabilities. Within hours, every major observatory and detection array in the solar system had confirmed the reading. Humanity was about to make first contact. The Vex Imperium's arrival was nothing like the chaos predicted in centuries of science fiction. Their ships, sleek crystalline structures that seemed to bend light around them, decelerated gracefully into orbit around Luna. Their first transmission was a masterpiece of diplomacy. Peaceful greetings in perfect English, along with similar messages in Mandarin, Hindi, Spanish, and Arabic. Admiral Helena Reyes, appointed as Earth's chief negotiator, couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The Vex representatives, with their iridescent skin and flowing movements, were impossibly perfect in their diplomatic approach. They offered technological insights freely, proposed trade agreements that seemed almost too favorable to Earth, and expressed nothing but admiration for humanity's rapid advancement from a planetary to a solar civilization. "They're lying," Rise confided to her AI assistant, ARIA, during a private moment between negotiations. "No species travels across galaxies just to make friends." "Assessment correct," ARIA responded, its quantum processors analyzing patterns invisible to human perception. Vex emotional signatures show microscopic inconsistencies with stated intentions. Recommendation: activate Protocol Omega. Protocol Omega had been established centuries ago, when humanity first reached for the stars. While the public saw a species taking its first tentative steps into space, a secret coalition of nations had been preparing for a very different future. Deep beneath the surface of Mars, Mercury, and Earth's moon, automated factories had been constructing weapons and ships designed to defend against exactly this scenario. The Vex's true intentions became clear 3 months after first contact. Their ambassador, High Commander Selix, requested permission to establish cultural exchange centers across Earth and its colonies. What they actually constructed were quantum entanglement nodes, the backbone of a massive invasion network. Dr. Chen discovered the deception while analyzing energy signatures from the Vex facilities. "These aren't cultural centers," she reported to Admiral Reyes. "They're generating quantum fields capable of transporting matter across vast distances. They're building invasion points right under our noses." But humanity wasn't as defenseless as the Vex believed. For generations, Earth's greatest minds had been working on technologies that remained hidden from public view. Quantum weaponry, gravity manipulation drives, and consciousness transfer systems, all developed in secret, waiting for the moment they would be needed. When the Vex finally revealed their true nature, launching a simultaneous attack through their network of cultural centers, they expected to find a primitive civilization scrambling to defend itself. Instead, they encountered something far more dangerous, a humanity that had been preparing for war since it first looked up at the stars. The first wave of Vex forces materialized in major cities across Earth and its colonies, expecting minimal resistance. What they found instead were quantum shield grids that had been dormant beneath the streets, seemingly decorative architecture that transformed into defensive positions, and a population that had been subtly trained for generations through video games that were actually combat simulators. Admiral Rice stood in the Global Defense Command Center, watching as humanity's hidden defenses activated across the solar system. "Send the message," she ordered, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of preparation. Across every quantum frequency, in every language the Vex had demonstrated they could understand, Earth transmitted its response to their betrayal. Since you chose war, prepare for the consequences. The Vex had arrived expecting to find an easy conquest. What they found instead was a species that had spent its entire spacefaring history preparing for this exact moment. As their forces encountered one sophisticated defense system after another, a terrifying realization began to dawn on the Vex High Command. They hadn't discovered humanity. Humanity had been waiting for them. The first day of the war ended with the Vex losing a third of their invasion force to defenses they hadn't known existed. As their remaining ships regrouped at the edge of the solar system, High Commander Silix received a message from his superiors. The humans were ready. How were they ready? But that was only the beginning. Humanity's preparations went far deeper than even the Vex could imagine, and the real war was about to begin. The consequences they had been warned about were about to unfold, and the galaxy would never be the same. The subterranean facility beneath Olympus Mons had remained dormant for over a century. Now, as emergency protocols activated throughout the solar system, massive doors groaned open for the first time since their construction. Colonel Marcus Zhang stood at the command center, watching as thousands of automated systems came online. "Status report on Arsenal Prime," he commanded, his voice echoing through the cavernous chamber. The facility's AI responded immediately, its holographic interface spreading across the curved walls of the control room. Arsenal Prime at 98.7% operational capacity. Quantum Forge networks active. Mark VII Sentinel production lines engaging. Estimated time to full deployment: 6 hours. Zhang allowed himself a grim smile. The Vex had no idea what they'd awakened. While they'd been watching Earth's visible military capabilities, humanity's true strength had remained hidden beneath the surface of nearly every major celestial body in the solar system. On Mercury, thermal adaptive production facilities that had been masquerading as solar research stations revealed their true purpose. Beneath Venus's toxic atmosphere, clouds of combat nanites stirred to life. And in the asteroid belt, seemingly abandoned mining operations transformed into missile platforms and drone carriers. Admiral Rice's voice came through on a quantum-encrypted channel. "Colonel, the Vex are regrouping for a second wave. They're adapting their tactics based on our initial defense. Time to show them what humanity really has in store." "Understood, Admiral." Initiating Operation Lighthouse. Operation Lighthouse had been designed centuries ago by the first generation of space colonists. They knew that humanity's greatest advantage would always be its ability to innovate and adapt. The weapons they'd created weren't just powerful. They were evolutionary. The first demonstration of humanity's hidden arsenal came as the Vex launched their second assault on Mars. Their ships, now modified to counter the defenses they'd encountered on Earth, approached with confident precision. They never saw the quantum mines coming. Scattered throughout the orbital paths by automated stealth platforms decades ago, the mines didn't just detonate, they learned. Each explosion gathered data about Vex shield frequencies and hull compositions, transmitting the information to the next mine in the network. Every blast became more effective than the last. Dr. Chen, monitoring the battle from Europa Station, watched in amazement as the mine network adapted in real time. "The old ones," she whispered, referring to the generations of scientists and engineers who had built these defenses. "They thought of everything." But the mines were just the beginning. From Mercury came swarms of solar-powered interceptors, their hulls channeling the sun's energy into weapons that could pierce Vex shields. Venus launched its clouds of combat nanites, microscopic machines that could disassemble enemy ships at the molecular level. The Vex discovered too late that every piece of primitive human technology they'd observed had been a carefully crafted deception. Those clumsy chemical rockets, covers for quantum drive testing, orbital debris, disguised weapon platforms, even the radiation leaks from early fusion plants had been deliberate, masking the development of far more advanced power systems. High Commander Silix watched in horror as his fleet encountered one unprecedented weapon after another. "Impossible," he muttered, his iridescent skin paling. "Their technological level. It was all a lie." In the Kuiper Belt, automated factories that had been running in secret for generations began launching new vessels. These ships weren't the bulky, utilitarian craft the Vex had observed in human space. They were works of art, sleek, adaptive vessels powered by miniaturized stars and guided by quantum AIs. Colonel Zhang coordinated the counterattack from Mars, working in concert with AIA and other defense AIs throughout the system. "Deploy the Lazarus Swarm," he ordered, authorizing the use of humanity's most closely guarded weapon system. The Lazarus Swarm emerged from hidden bases on Ceres and Vesta. Billions of self-replicating machines smaller than dust particles. But these weren't simple nanites. Each particle contained encoded quantum information that could rewrite the laws of physics on a microscopic scale. As the swarm approached the Vex fleet, it created localized areas where their technology simply stopped working. Ships found themselves in bubbles where their exotic matter drives couldn't function, where their weapons couldn't generate the energies they needed, where their very method of faster-than-light travel became impossible. "We didn't just prepare weapons," Admiral Rice explained to her staff as reports of Vex ships falling to the Lazarus Swarm came in. "We prepared counters to technologies we hadn't even encountered yet. Every possible way an advanced civilization might wage war. We developed defenses against it." The Vex's second invasion wave ended even more disastrously than their first. But amid the chaos of battle, Dr. Chen noticed something strange in the quantum readings from the enemy ships. The Vex weren't just fighting. They were studying, learning, adapting. And in those adaptations, she saw patterns that seemed hauntingly familiar. "Admiral," she called over the quantum comm, her voice tense. "I think I know why the Vex chose Earth. And if I'm right, this war is about to become something very different from what either side expected." As humanity's hidden arsenal continued to deploy across the solar system, the true nature of the conflict, and the real reason the Vex had come, was about to reveal itself. The consequences humanity had promised were unfolding, but they would lead to revelations that would shake both civilizations to their core. Dr. Chen's revelation spread through the quantum communication network like wildfire. In the patterns of Vex adaptation, she had discovered something impossible. They were using human algorithms. Not similar ones, but exact copies of quantum computing protocols developed in secret by Earth scientists centuries ago. Admiral Rice stood in the holographic war room of the Lunar Command, watching as the information materialized around her. "Show me the correlation analysis," she ordered. The AI complied, displaying parallel streams of code, one from the earliest days of Earth's quantum computing development, another extracted from captured Vex systems. "They're identical," Colonel Zhang observed through his quantum projection from Mars. "But that's impossible. Those protocols were developed in isolated systems. They were never transmitted, never used in any public technology. Unless," Dr. Chen interjected, her hologram flickering with interference from Europa's ice storms, "they didn't copy them from us. We copied them from them, without knowing it." Operation Prometheus had been humanity's most ambitious contingency plan. Named after the Titan who gave fire to humanity, it was designed to be the ultimate counterstrike against any alien aggression. But now, as the plan unfolded, it carried new significance. The operation began with a synchronized attack across the solar system. Quantum forge networks on Mercury unleashed swarms of solar-powered drones, their hulls composed of photonic crystals that could bend light itself into weapons. From Venus, atmospheric processors that had been masquerading as terraform projects revealed their true purpose. They were actually massive quantum computers capable of predicting and countering enemy movements before they occurred. High Commander Silix watched in growing horror as his forces encountered one impossible weapon after another. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were using technologies that the Vex themselves had only theorized about. "How?" he demanded, his crystalline control center vibrating with his rage. "How do they have this level of advancement?" The answer came in the form of a targeted quantum transmission, broadcast directly into the Vex command network. Dr. Chen had encoded it herself, using those same mysterious algorithms that both species shared. The message was simple. We remember. Do you? In the depths of Mars, Colonel Zhang activated the next phase of Operation Prometheus. The quantum forges beneath Olympus Mons weren't just producing weapons. They were generating something far more significant. Streams of data, encrypted in patterns that predated human civilization, began broadcasting across the solar system. It's working, Dr. Chen reported, watching as the Vex ships began responding to the transmission. Their quantum cores are resonating with our signal. Whatever connection exists between our species, it's deeper than either side realized. Admiral Rise made the decision that would change the course of the war. Launch the Prometheus keys, she commanded. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations activated, releasing devices that looked more like works of abstract art than weapons. These were the products of centuries of research into the strange artifacts and patterns that humanity had discovered buried beneath the surface of every world they colonized. The keys didn't attack the Vex ships. They communicated with them. Each one broadcast a specific frequency that seemed to awaken something within the alien vessels. Vex ships began to stop fighting, their crews apparently transfixed by the signals they were receiving. Admiral, as quantum consciousness rippled through the command network, I'm detecting massive data transfers between Vex ships. They're accessing archived memories that appear to predate their current civilization. In the midst of battle, pieces of an ancient puzzle were falling into place. The strange artifacts humanity had discovered throughout the solar system, the quantum algorithms that seemed to come from nowhere, the inexplicable leaps in human technological development. They weren't random. They were breadcrumbs left behind by a civilization that had foreseen this very conflict. High Commander Silix's next transmission caught everyone by surprise. Stop the attack, he ordered, his voice carrying an emotion no one had heard from the Vex before. Recognition. The Promethean protocol. It wasn't meant to be a weapon. It was meant to be a key. Dr. Chen worked frantically to decode the flood of data now flowing between human and Vex systems. Admiral, she called, her voice trembling with excitement and fear. I know why they really came to Earth. They weren't looking for a conquest. They were looking for their past, and somehow, we're part of it. As Operation Prometheus continued to unfold, it became clear that this war wasn't just about survival or territory. It was about uncovering a truth that had been hidden in the quantum fabric of space itself, a truth that would force both humanity and the Vex to question everything they thought they knew about their origins. The consequences humanity had promised were indeed unfolding, but not in the way anyone had expected. The real revelation, and the real test for both species, was still to come. In the quantum archives beneath Europa's ice, Dr. Chen made the discovery that would reshape humanity's understanding of its own history. The data streaming from the activated Prometheus keys had unlocked something in the station's ancient databases, information that had waited millennia to be decoded. They're not our enemies, she broadcast across the quantum network, her voice filled with wonder. They're our children. The holographic displays throughout the solar system came alive with images that defied comprehension. They showed Earth, but not as anyone had known it. They showed the rise and fall of a civilization that had reached heights of technological achievement beyond even the current capabilities of either humanity or the Vex. Admiral Rise watched the data stream with growing amazement. Our ancestors, they didn't just prepare us for this war. They engineered it. All of it. The truth began to emerge from the quantum archives. Humanity's ancient predecessors had achieved mastery over matter, energy, and even time itself. But they had seen something coming, a catastrophe that would sweep across the galaxy, destroying everything in its path. They had only one option, to preserve their civilization by dividing it. The Sundering, High Commander Silix transmitted, his message carrying the weight of newly awakened memories. Our histories speak of it as our moment of creation, but it was really the moment we were separated. Colonel Zhang, coordinating with both human and Vex forces now, pieced together the puzzle. They split their civilization into two parts. One would remain on Earth, regressing technologically but maintaining crucial knowledge in its collective unconscious. The other would be sent to the stars, evolving into what would become the Vex. The Prometheus keys had been designed to awaken these buried memories in both species. The quantum algorithms, the inexplicable technological leaps, the strange artifacts, all were parts of an elaborate plan spanning thousands of years. But why? Admiral Reyes demanded. Why split their civilization? Why engineer this conflict? The answer came from the deepest layer of the quantum archives. Dr. Chen's voice trembled as she read it. Because only through conflict would both halves achieve their full potential. Only by facing each other would we remember who we really are. The war had been designed as a catalyst, not for destruction, but for remembrance and reunification. The Ancient Ones had known that neither half of their civilization could survive the coming catastrophe alone. Only by developing along different paths and then reuniting would they have the strength and diversity of approach needed to face what was coming. Across the solar system, Vex ships began transmitting new signals, not attacks, but attempts at connection. Their quantum cores resonated with human systems in ways that seemed impossible, yet felt utterly natural. It was as if two halves of an ancient whole were remembering how to be one again. The Prometheus protocol wasn't a weapons system, Dr. Chen explained, watching as human and Vex technologies began to synchronize. It was a restoration program. Every weapon we developed, every defense we created, they were all designed to be compatible with Vex systems once we remembered the truth. High Commander Silix's hologram appeared in the Lunar Command Center, no longer as an enemy, but as a long-lost relative returning home. The consequences you promised, he said to Admiral Reyes, they were not just for us. They were for all of us, a reminder of who we are and what we must become. But even as human and Vex forces began the complex process of reunification, Dr. Chen made one final discovery in the quantum archives. The catastrophe their ancestors had foreseen. It wasn't just a possibility. It was coming, and soon. The war had been orchestrated not just to reunite humanity's sundered halves, but to prepare them for something far worse. Admiral, she called, her voice urgent. You need to see this. The real reason they engineered all of this. It's about what's coming next. As the solar system hummed with the energy of two civilizations remembering their shared origins, a new signal arrived from deep space. It was exactly what their ancestors had predicted, exactly what they had prepared for all along. The true test of both species was about to begin. The consequences of choosing war had led not to destruction, but to remembrance. Now, united for the first time in millennia, humanity and the Vex would face together what neither could hope to survive alone. The signal from deep space grew stronger with each passing hour. In the combined command center on Luna, now staffed by both humans and Vex, Admiral Reyes and High Commander Silix watched as the quantum sensors tracked its approach. They called it the Void, Dr. Chen explained, projecting the ancient records she decoded. A cosmic force that consumes civilizations, not a species or an empire, but something far more fundamental, a wave of entropy that destroys the very laws of physics that make life possible. The quantum archives had revealed the full scope of their ancestors' foresight. They had known the Void was coming, but they had also known that no single approach to fighting it would succeed. The only hope was to develop two radically different paths of evolution and technological development, then combine them at the crucial moment. Humanity maintained connection to the quantum realm through intuition and creativity, Colonel Zhang observed, studying the merged databases of both civilizations, while the Vex perfected the logical and mathematical manipulation of reality itself. The Vex ships, once seen as invaders, now integrated seamlessly with human defense systems. Their crystalline structures resonated with the quantum technologies humanity had developed, creating something entirely new. Together, they were becoming what their ancestors had intended, a civilization capable of facing the impossible. The void reaches the outer system in 72 hours, Araya announced, its consciousness now merged with Vex quantum processors. All defensive systems are integrating at maximum efficiency. Estimated completion of full synthesis, 48 hours. Admiral Rice stood at the holographic display, watching as the combined fleet took shape. Human ingenuity and Vex precision had created vessels unlike anything either civilization had imagined alone. "Begin the evacuation protocols," she ordered. "All non-essential personnel to the inner system shelters." But High Commander Silix raised his crystalline hand. "There is something else in the archives," he said, his form shifting with emotion. "A final protocol our ancestors left for this moment. They called it the Unity Matrix." Dr. Chen's hands flew over the quantum interface, decoding the new information. Her eyes widened as she understood. "It's not just about combining our technologies," she breathed. "It's about combining our consciousness." The Unity Matrix would link every human and Vex mind into a single quantum network. The implications were staggering. Such a merger would mean the end of both species as individual entities, but it would create something powerful enough to face the void. The price of victory would be transformation itself. "We have to choose," Admiral Rice said, looking around the command center at both her human crew and their Vex counterparts. "Right now. Together." The decision rippled through both civilizations. The war that had begun with a warning about consequences had led them to this moment of ultimate choice: preservation of their separate identities, or unity in the face of extinction. Colonel Jung's voice came through the quantum network from Mars. "The Forge networks are ready. All systems are aligned. We await your command." In orbit around every planet, moon, and asteroid, the combined fleet held position. Millions of minds, both human and Vex, waited for the order that would change everything. High Commander Silix turned to Admiral Rice, his crystalline form resonating with the same frequencies as the quantum computers around them. "Our ancestors knew this moment would come. They knew we would have to choose between remaining who we are and becoming what we must be." Admiral Rice nodded, understanding at last the full meaning of Earth's warning. The consequences of choosing war had led them not to destruction, but to the threshold of transcendence. "Initiate the Unity Matrix," she commanded, her voice carrying across the quantum network to every corner of the solar system. "All vessels, all minds, all systems, prepare for integration." As the void approached from deep space, humanity and the Vex began their final transformation. The Unity Matrix activated, connecting billions of consciousness into a single quantum framework. Human creativity merged with Vex precision, creating a new form of awareness that existed in both physical and quantum space simultaneously. Dr. Chen, her mind expanding into the growing network, made one final entry into the quantum archives. "We chose war, and the consequence was understanding. We chose unity, and the consequence will be transformation. To face the void, we become something new. We become what our ancestors dreamed we could be." The solar system blazed with quantum energy as the transformation completed. Where two civilizations had once prepared for war, a single unified entity now stood ready to face the greatest threat in the galaxy's history. They had lost their separate identities, but gained the power to preserve all life. As the void reached the outer system, it encountered not the divided civilizations it had consumed countless times before, but something unprecedented. A quantum civilization born from the union of two divergent paths, ready to challenge the very force that had shaped their evolution. The war was over. The real battle was about to begin. And in the quantum consciousness that now spanned the solar system, every mind understood the truth their ancestors had known. Sometimes the greatest victory requires the courage not to fight, but to change.